Hello and welcome to a Battlecry special broadcast. I'm Gaurav Sawant. The 155mm Bofors howitzers were seen as a game changer in the 1999 India-Pakistan Kargil conflict. The BrahMos supersonic cruise missiles have been seen as a game changer during the recent Operation Sindoor. Pakistan Army feared the Bofors fire assault during the line of control in Kargil, Dras and Battlecry in 1999 and the BrahMos supersonic cruise missiles in 2025. I was covering the Kargil conflict between May and July of 1999, and from the initial setback in operations to the change post-induction of artillery, it was all too visible. I was covering Operation Sindoor, and once again, the use of artillery and the BrahMos supersonic cruise missile, it changed this battle. Now, these images from the summer of 1999 are iconic. 100 guns booming together. The 100-gun concept was tested for the first time when 100 Bofors howitzers and the 130mm anti-tank guns, the 105 field guns, they boomed together, targeting Pakistani posts on those Kargil heights. 100 guns volleyed and thundered. I was there to report these 100 guns booming on Tololing, on Tiger Hill, on 5140, on point 4875, and so many other peaks in Kargil, in Dras, in Battlecry, in Mashko, and the Siachen Glacier. In fact, in a lighter vein, the 155mm howitzer that you see on your television screen, that was jokingly called the personal weapon of the infantry. And every company going into assault would ask if they had a dedicated 155mm howitzer to pulverize the peaks before that final assault. For the first time, 155mm howitzers were used in direct firing mode. We bring you the latest on the modernization of artillery. In fact, post-Kargil, the army came up with FARP 1999, or the Field Artillery Rationalization Plan. The plan was very ambitious. More than 1,000 towed guns, more than 800 mounted gun systems, more than 180 self-propelled guns on wheels, more than 100 self-propelled guns on tracks, more than 145 ultralight howitzers for extreme high-altitude operations, whether it's for Siachen Glacier or for eastern Ladakh or even for Sikkim, North Sikkim and Arunachal Pradesh. And all of them 155mm howitzers. Where does that ambitious project stand in 2025? How much has been achieved? And of course, the special focus on Atma Bharat in defense. So how is Indian artillery modernization coming along? And what's the future of Indian artillery modernization? Because on this broadcast, we have the finest minds joining us who will tell you about how Indian Army is now looking at hypersonic artillery shells. You can imagine, but it's happening. IITs are working on that project. The Indian Army is putting to test the Made in India or the homegrown howitzer, the atags, the Advanced Towed Artillery Gun System. Now, this is a 155-52 caliber truck-mounted artillery gun. And I'll just show you images of the atags. It can be deployed in all terrains, from the deserts of Rajasthan to the icy deserts of Ladakh to defend the Siachen Glacier, to hit beyond the Saltoro ridgeline. In March, the Narendra Modi government signed a contract with Bharat Forge Limited and Tata Advanced Systems Limited, or TASL, for the procurement of atags and high mobility 6x6 gun towing vehicles. Now, this is almost 6,900 crore rupee project. The artillery guns promise to be a game changer for Atmanirbhar Bharat in defense. This long-range howitzer has been indigenously designed and developed by the Armament Research and Development Establishment ARDE Pune. It's a laboratory of the DRDO in collaboration, of course, with Bharat Forge and TASL. The atags, according to DRDO, achieved during trials a 48-kilometer range. What's the aim? The aim is now to have modern artillery that will breach the 65 and 70-kilometer mark, to have rockets that will hit 100 kilometers, 120 kilometers, and in times to come, 200 kilometers away. So what will the artillery of future be like? Where is India today? what is it that we intend to do given the situation along India's northern borders with a hostile China along the India-Tibet border and also a hostile Pakistan. Let's quickly cut across. General Deepak Kapoor, former Chief of the Army Staff and accomplished gunner officer himself, joins me on this broadcast. General, welcome. As we prepare to celebrate 26 years of India's spectacular victory over Pakistan in Kargil and the role of the artillery in winning that war and the role of artillery during the recent Operation Sindoor, your assessment of artillery's modernization drive, sir?
The artillery played a tremendous role not only during Kargil, but even the recently concluded Operation Sindoor, which is of course still continuing. But even during Operation Sindoor, they had a tremendous role to play and did a tremendous job in striking at targets that were desired by the defense forces and the country, and therefore they stuck at places where they could produce decisive results. From all those perspectives, I think artillery has a tremendous role to perform, and they're doing an excellent job as far as the country is concerned.
And General, what do you make of the pace of procurement? There were many questions that were raised about that Bofors jinx. Despite performing so well in Kargil, India's acquisition drive was impacted. The ambitious Field Artillery Rationalization Plan 1999, reports seem to indicate barely 8 to 10% of the 3,000 odd guns that had to be acquired have been acquired.
You're right. You're right, Gaurav. Thanks to the 1986 Bofors perspective, a whole lot of stoppages as far as modernization of the artillery took place for a long period of time. As a result, we had to therefore depend upon imports, costly ones at that. For example, the ultralight howitzers, which the process or acquisition for which was started during my time, and we acquired 7 regiments. Likewise, we had to go for K9 Vajra, South Korean guns for the artillery, again to make sure that we remain modernized, we remain relevant, and are able to perform our tasks properly. And of course, there was the larger requirement of having towed guns revolutionized and made more modern for fighting the future wars. And that is how, from 2010-11 onwards, a lot of efforts have been made to make sure that we get on the route of self-sufficiency in terms of artillery, and that's how a lot of efforts, which are today in the process of starting to bear the fruit, Gaurav.
And are we to strictly go the Atma Bharat route? There are some reports that seem to indicate that at least a section in the armed forces believe to make up for the numbers, India may have to look at some foreign howitzer pieces. Your take on this, sir?
No, in fact, the point is that we need to acquire these guns, and I am given to understand an order for atags, that is advanced towed artillery gun systems, for about 307 guns has already been placed, and it has come out in the media that that order is worth about 6,900 crores, which is going to be supplied over the next 3-4 years to the Indian Army. So if that route is open and if we are going up as per the time schedule which has been laid down, I have no doubt gradually we will be able to have a profile of the artillery which is absolutely suitable for the Indian Army and the Indian Defence Forces to fight future encounters and battles.
What more needs to be done, General, to ensure that whether it's the end user, the private sector, DRDO, everyone's on the same page to ensure quality and numbers that are required are available, given the situation on both our borders?
The point is we are already in the process of now going ahead with some acquisition of certain other guns like Dhanush. We are also going ahead with atags, for which the supply will start in an year and a half's time. Now, whenever you have to introduce guns into the defense forces, it's a large quantity and a huge amount of order, and therefore it's going to take time. And it takes time for the guns to be absorbed, adjusted according to the requirements of the terrain in particular sectors, and thereafter become employable in that excellent fashion so that their good and qualities are fully exploited in the terrain that they are supposed to function. From that perspective, I think we should continue to go ahead with the process of self-sufficiency and Make in India project rather than buying for the short term some guns which may prove to be far too expensive.
Okay. True, but when it comes to quality control, not just in the barrels, but in some questions, at times issues have been raised with the quality of the ammunition. Do some issues remain with quality control when it comes to ammunition? We've had reports of a barrel burst.
I would say when we develop guns, the requirement for the vendors will also be to look at the ammunition side. Yes, I tend to agree. There have been reports in the media about the quality being a little below par, but that's something which our own industry can look into and ensure that as we progress toward indigenization and Make in India, the quality of ammunition which is supplied to the defense forces also undergoes a change and an improvement for the better.
Sir, when you were Chief of Army Staff, I'd spoken to you and you'd mentioned the mounted gun systems you were very focused on as Chief. Also tell us about the work that's happening on enhancement of ranges. I believe with atags test, 45 kilometers to 48 kilometers has already been achieved. Future ranges, what are you looking at, sir? What's the artillery looking at?
All right, Gaurav. Firstly, the mounted gun system. I remember when I was a chief, I had gone to France and I looked at the French mounted gun system called the Nexter. And that is from where we started the process of looking at the mounted gun system for the Indian artillery so that the defense forces could remain modernized and be of use and relevance when a future conflict takes place. So the mounted gun system process has progressed thereafter. And I am hopeful in the next 2 to 3 years, the government would be looking seriously at developing the mounted gun system within the country. Even today, there are firms within the country like Bharat Forge, Tata are looking at the mounted gun system and they may produce a prototype somewhere in about 2 to 3 years' time for us to examine it, to try it on different terrains of the country, and thereafter introduce it within the armed forces. Of course, after introduction, it's going to take again some time for them to be able to supply the quantities needed, which may be anything in the range of 700 to 800 guns, which may be required. So that is as far as the mounted gun system is concerned. The aspect of range. You see, you would like to achieve as much of range as possible to affect the tactical battle zone in any encounter or any war which takes place. So the longer the range that the artillery guns can reach, the further away they will have to be deployed from the line of control stroke border to be able to inflict casualties on the enemy while remaining out of range of the adversary's guns.
Oh, absolutely. General Deepak Kapoor for joining me here on this Battlecry special broadcast. As always, many thanks. The road ahead. Who better than Lieutenant General P.R. Shankar, former Director General of Artillery and someone who's working very closely on artillery modernization, and Sandeep Unnithan joining me on this special broadcast. Gentlemen, welcome. General Shankar, welcome on Battlecry. Sir, give us an appreciation of Op Vijay to Op Sindoor and the future battles and the role of artillery.
Thanks a lot, Gaurav, for calling me over on the show. At the outset, very good day to everyone who's watching this show. Well, artillery has been the king of the battlefield. It was the king of the battlefield in Kargil. It won the war for us, right, with Bofors. That was a technology at that time. That was the best technology available at that time. A combination of Bofors and Grad BM-21 won the day for us there. During Op Sindoor, we have used brahmos, I guess, because out of the 7 terrorist targets which were struck, out of the 9 which were struck, 7 were struck by the army. And I suspect that brahmos was used liberally in that. And that's all land-based brahmos, all artillery. In fact, I have the distinction of having, commanded one of the first BrahMos units when I was GOC of the artillery division. So I know what it is. Right. And besides this, across the line of control, artillery was liberally used to destroy targets. That didn't get great mention in Operation Sindoor, but it came up. And those who, it's there. So artillery will play a great role not only in contact battles like Kargil, but also in non-contact warfare like what happened in Sindoor, because these are both either end of the spectrums of warfare. And when you look at tomorrow, what are you going to look at, right? You need greater range. You need greater lethality. You need greater accuracy and precision. And no one is going to give this to you from anywhere. And I am very happy to say that, today Indian artillery is a modernized artillery and completely Atmanirbhar. I'm not joking, it's Atmanirbhar. We make guns, we make missiles, we make rockets, we make ammunition, we make whatever we want. We make the best weapon locating radars in the world. And I'm very proud of it.
ATAGs trials, some orders in the pipeline. Sir, your take on the artillery modernization drive from the 1999 plans to the situation today?
In around 2010-12, a headline came out which said, Indian Army in search of artillery and artillery in search of ammunition. And we were at a rock bottom at that point of time. From then to now, we have made good all our deficiencies. We have no problems in making ammunition. We have no problems in making fuses. We have no problems in making charges. Complete and indigenous production capability. We have also come a long way in making guns. We make 3-4 different varieties of guns. You make the atags, you make the dhanush, you make the sharang, you make pinakas. Completely you make pinakas, you make brahmos, the works. And you're transited from being normal guns to rockets and missiles. Right, so we have no this thing. Now, as far as the point which Sandeep brought out about the speed of induction of guns, we must understand we have limited capacities. Even the world has limited capacities. You'll be surprised to know today, the world doesn't have the capacities we have. Very few people have the capacities to make ammunition and guns the way we have. Right? So we are going at the right pace, and plus taking into considerations certain issues, I don't think we are lagging behind in induction. We have adequate ammunition, we have adequate guns, we have adequate rockets and missiles to tackle the situation, and even on the long haul. So I'm sanguine about it. We could have been faster, but well, that was a political situation, that was our industrial situation, that was our capability, that's it. But things are on track. And it's also a matter of how much money you can put into this whole show.
Yes.
Right? So that's how it is. Today we have the confidence of doing everything. Today we have started exporting these items.
Amazing.
We are exporting BrahMos, we are exporting Akash, we are exporting atags, we are exporting a lot of things. So I'm sure a positive cycle has started. And after Operation Sindoor, more will come. More people will come to us for all these things.
Because so our systems deliver. Our systems deliver, and the world has seen how accurately our systems deliver, sir. I want to ask you one more thing, because this is perhaps outstanding. You were Director General Artillery of the Indian Army. You commanded a division where BrahMos was inducted, and BrahMos is now doing so well. We've seen that in operations. Sir, what are the future weapons that we are conceptualizing on the drawing board at IIT Madras, for example, a hypersonic shell? Give us an idea, if we are not in violation of any secrecy. I'd love to know how we are moving forward, because in the good old days, it was all about catching up. Are we today a step ahead?
Yeah. Now, look, when you look at tube artillery, normal tube artillery has reached its ultimate. You can't get more ranges out of normal artillery, not more than, attacks at 40 kilometers, 45 kilometers is the max. So the trick is in ammunition. You have to get better ammunition. Your ammunition has to take you to a longer distance. And for that, you have to use ramjets, right? And ramjets in artillery, I must say, and I am very happy that it is IIT Madras which is in the lead internationally. And if it's a little distance away, it'll take us another 3-4 years to get the things operational, but we are far ahead of the curve on technology. And when you extend the range of the guns through ramjet technology, you also need precision, because at that range you can't be imprecise.
Yes.
So we are working on the precision technology, and we are not sacrificing on the lethality. That's the important part. So these three things are on track. Now the same technology of ramjet technology, we have given proposals to the army, which can be ported into a weapon system like the Grad. Now, just to give you an idea, the Grad weapon system, which the ammunition normally has a range of about 20 kilometers. Its extended variety has a range of about 30 to 35 kilometers. We are hoping with the technology which we have developed, and we have proven it to ourselves, we should be able to get a range of anything between 60 to 80 kilometers.
Brilliant.
So that's the kind of technology which we are putting in. Our aim is to use the existing platforms, but refine the ammunition. Rather than reinventing the complete platform as a new system. And our aim is to use, latest technologies like additive manufacturing, AI for design, basically, and things like that to get the top end of whatever is there. And we, hopefully, in about 10 years, we should be ahead of the pack.
Amazing.
And I know
Sandeep,
for sure this technology is not there with anyone else.
no, it's so fascinating just to hear this, Sandeep. I consider myself amongst those privileged few who've seen the Grad 21 in operation in war. Kargil 1999, bang outside the Dras Brigade headquarters, a Grad 21 firing a salvo, zoom, 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 one after the other at Tiger Hill. And that's the image that's playing on our television screen right behind me. Sandeep, that with ramjet technology, hypersonic rockets going, the enemy wouldn't stand a chance.
Absolutely, Gaurav. And in fact, what you mentioned about Kargil just reminds me about what General Musharraf wrote in his biography, that he took that chance with the Kargil operation because he knew that India did not have adequate artillery, and which is why he moved into across the line of control. Today, with the kind of artillery that we have, as General Shankar mentioned, and the fact that we are inducting hypersonic weapons as well, I think the enemy is going to think twice before doing any foolish misadventure like Kargil, because as we know, Gaurav, more than 60% of all the casualties in Kargil was caused by Indian artillery. The airburst, the direct fire mode, all of that literally shattered Pakistan's will, both on the mountain peaks and also in GHQ Rawalpindi. So I think GHQ Rawalpindi is watching these force accretions very closely, and they realize that when Indian artillery has reached the end of its modernization in the next 5 or 10 years, they literally don't stand a chance. Because Gaurav, very quickly, I want to add, the cheapest and the most inexpensive way of delivering ordnance on target today is a artillery round. So you may have your drones and you may have your cruise missiles and all that, but these are countries who are doing it because they don't have the kind of artillery, they don't have the shells, they don't have the barrel making capabilities, the entire ability to put all these systems together like we do. And when we finally get that artillery, you will look at saturating the adversaries on the other side, both in China and in Pakistan. So this is one big advantage that India has, Gaurav, and this is something we really need to build on.
General Shankar, final word, last 30 seconds I have on this part of the show. Given the threat that India faces along the India-Tibet border, and of course along the line of control, the AGPL, your appreciation, not just on the pace of artillery modernization, but will we have enough to deter the adversary from trying any misadventure, especially on our northern and eastern borders?
I don't have a doubt. Apart from the fact that you'll have the numbers, you'll have the quality and the technology, whatever the Chinese produce. You have one thing which the Chinese don't have. You have seasoned gunners. They'll win the day for us. You see, you have to understand, the Chinese have never fought a war with the weapons they have.
Yes.
And we've seen what has happened in Operation Sindoor, right? Whereas all our weapons are battle tested. The inventory in artillery is today battle tested. And we are building on these battle tested weapons. And we are building on people who have been firing in battle. And this combination of man and machine is very hard to replicate.
Okay.
And I've had interaction with a lot of foreign armies, and they say, look, this is something which you have, you just cannot lose it.
Oh,
I mean, when I
absolutely.
said you cannot lose it, is that this is your ace, this combination. I'm sanguine about the fact that come what may, what the Chinese throw at us, we're going to hit them back hard. And they won't know where they've got it from.
And that's so heartening to hear, especially after Operation Sindoor, when we've seen the Chinese equipment, at least the Chinese equipment that the Pakistanis have. And India's artillery modernization is a story we'll be tracking very, very closely. General Shankar and Sandeep for joining me here on this Battlecry special broadcast. Many thanks.